Welcome to Chess to Impress, and like I said, these are lessons for beginners who have just started playing chess and know the basic laws of the game. As we progress in this series, we will discover and talk about various themes that will help you build a strong base. If you see in the position on your screen, right, white king is exposed. Why is it exposed? Because it does not have a shield. So today we're going to talk about pawn shields. Pawn shields are basically pawns that shield the king. So usually the pawns should always be right in front of the king, right? It should always be right in front of the king. So just imagine this position, right? And just take a look at the black's king. Black's pawns are right in front of the king. They're just guarding the king in every way imaginable. There's by no means that these rooks, the rooks on e1 and f1 can unleash on the black king. Whereas if you take a look at the black rooks, right, they can easily attack the king which is on g1, and as a matter of fact it can checkmate the white king in like 3 moves. Pause this video for a moment and try and calculate how can black's rook checkmate the white king in 3 moves. Alright, there we go. The first move is we just keep checking the king. It's like a lawnmower mate. Rook to g8, king, irrespective of wherever the king goes. Let's assume the king goes to h2. You give another check. Let's say the king tries to escape by coming to g3, and we swing the other rook across. So rook to g8, rook to h8. Both of them tag team and checkmate the white king. Why was this possible? It was possible because the white pawns were not guarding the king. Alright, position number 2. Let's talk about this position. Which side has better pawn shield? How can black take advantage of white's unprotected king? Of course, the position speaks for itself. The white king has no shield at all, correct? Because these two pawns are on c3 and d4. The pawns should have ideally been on a2 and b2, or at least the pawn on c3 should have been over here, right in front of the king, guarding the king. So now that we know that the white king's exposed, how do we take advantage? We take advantage by placing our heavy pieces, or we call them as the major pieces, on the a file. How do we do that? We swing them over. So maybe I would love to play the move rook a8 first. Rook a8, or maybe like queen a7, not queen a5, because if I play queen a5, they can maybe like exchange the queens like this and all our advantage goes away. So maybe I can play the move. It's just an idea. They can still defend. Maybe they can go like queen c1 and queen b2. They can still defend, but our idea is to be on the offensive. So maybe we play queen a7, right? And they make a random move like say g4. They do not care about their king. They make a random move like g4, and then what do? We just create a battery. A battery is when two pieces work together on the same line. For example, if I play rook a2, the rook and the queen will work together on the same line. If they capture the bishop, alright, queen a1's game over. Correct? So always take care of your king, and whenever you're on the attacking side of the board, whenever you're on the offensive, make sure you're putting your pieces on the correct square correctly. I mean, putting your pieces on the right squares so that you can go and create problems for your opponent's king. Alright, last but not the least, position number 3. Alright, which side has a better pawn structure? Of course, it's white, right? Which side is better? White is better. So white is better because white has a better pawn shield. I really do not like this pawn, right? This pawn should have ideally been on b6 or b7 for that matter. Now how can white attack and target and open up this king, right? Whenever the king is not guarded, it's our job, it's our duty to attack it even further. Here's what I would do in this position. I would play a move like maybe a4, right? A4 is like a completely normal looking move, because if they take, my rook takes, and then I can swing this rook over and attack this pawn with the help of my bishop. So 3 pieces attacking it, 2 pieces guarding them. It's a complete mess for black. Also, instead of a4, like even this is fine, right? As long as you're learning chess, even this is fine, because it's putting more pressure over here. If they attack, I swing my rook, and maybe I can keep both my rooks on the semi-open file, right? So it's all about exposing the king. When I say the word expose, it means opening up lines to the king. All right, and this position. Cool, let's take a look at this. This is what happened. Now my question is, how can white expose the black king? Now we need to kind of break this shield. I love this shield, it looks solid, right? But I need to break it. What do? We use our pawns. We create a pawn storm. Because we have castled long, they have castled short, so it's our duty to use our pawns. Whenever we castle long, or whenever our opponent castles on the other side of the board, we can use pawns to create a pawn storm. So in this position, we can happily play the move g4, and let's assume they play bishop d6. We can just keep pushing our pawns, maybe just let them walk together and create problems for your opponent's king. Again, right? I love this move because this rook and this rook will make sure that these pawns keep going forward. Again, this is just an example. So make sure whenever you castle on the other side of the board, create a pawn storm. Another thing, always make sure your king is protected, which means you should always shield your king. The third thing, if your king does not have a proper shield, make sure you bring your other pieces like the knights or the bishops. And last but not the least, if your opponent's king lacks solidarity or lacks those pawns in front of him, then you go all out, right? You go in with your heavy pieces, you take all your minor pieces, do whatever you can to get your opponent's king checkmated.